Bossman, what you up to? Watching a little TV? What are we watching? Original? With the gray-haired, curly-haired guy? Like we're talking 2004-ish kind of thing? Oh yeah, that's the good CSI. That was the heyday of the procedural. Was around the mid-2000s. I'd say about somewhere between 2005 to maybe like 2012. You had up until you get kind of the bigger, like the Breaking Bads coming out, the real prestige TV they have now. For about a good decade there, procedurals ran the show, man. NCIS, CSI. CSI, there was CSI Miami with David Caruso doing the great one-liners. Do you remember the great one-liners? He put on his shades and it was almost a tribute to like a Magnum PI Hawaii 5-0. It was almost one of those old 70s cop shows, CSI Miami. It was very different than the original CSI, actually. And then they made CSI New York with Lieutenant Dan. Didn't last very long. They were trying to do it gritty, kind of make it a little grittier, you know. I think they tried one more CSI that didn't work. But the original, the OG CSI, is the best CSI. Now, and then you also had one around this time. It's called Criminal Minds. Was big around those times. Remember that? Yeah. Oh, you still watch Criminal Minds? See, one of the interesting things I've been thinking a lot about, like, for so long, human history was consolidating things. And now kind of in this current time period we're in, which I consider the third industrial revolution, but you could also maybe just title it the digital revolution, might be a better way to call it. It's not so much industrial, but we're going through obviously this change right now, and that's creating what was for so long consolidation, leading towards like globalism stuff. In a weird way, the digital age connected the whole world, but now it's fragmenting. Everything's getting smaller, niches. And so I think all the time, like I was like, man, we used to have these cultural connections we don't have anymore. Like Johnny Carson was a great, or in the day and age I was growing up was Letterman versus Leno. But that was a conversation. That was a cultural conversation every American could have if you were in the 90s. Letterman versus Leno, who do you like better? Now, other than football games, there's really not these giant, and football games are only available to people that are into football, right? Which is a lot of people, but it's like not universal. It's not as accessible, exactly. So I think what's going to end up starting to happen, my guess, is as we're getting in these smaller and smaller fragments, we'll probably start like having more community-based connectivity. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's not going to be like there was here's a great example. If a fire truck rolls into this apartment complex, in this community, or if you want to see it as a country or a nation, in the nation of apartment complex, everyone's now unified. We're all out on our porches with our, house shoes on. We're wondering who's sick. Exactly. And so that's the other thing I realized is like people do, I don't know how to say it because you don't want to like fetishize struggle. You don't want to make you don't want to make poverty glamorous, right? But there is something to be said for the beauty of the struggle, the beauty of the poverty, the beauty of the minimalism, because that is like I don't know. To me, it's like I think humans find themselves in moments of struggle, is what I'm saying. It's almost necessary. Like suffering is almost incumbent upon being a good person, right? Yeah. Yeah. So the reason I'm calling you, I had two theological questions that I've never thought of before, but also never heard the answer of before. So they're kind of like mysteries to me, kind of mystery areas of theology. Area one is no, I'm trying to think how to phrase this because it's hard for me to put into words. So like, okay, so like I thought I understood what people use as the word the logos, because to me I thought the logos meant the language of God essentially. And the way I kind of like think about like physics and math and like science and all these things that we have, they're kind of rudimentary methods of understanding the source code of the universe, if you will, right? It's the reason like we've got math. Math is kind of like outside, it's kind of like understanding the source code of how the world works, the natural world works around us, the order of it all. And so you have that kind of explained through that. So I thought the logos meant that, the operating principles of the universe upon which God put into order when he created it, right? That's what I thought the logos meant. Justin tells me, he tells me the logos is actually a person, which is confusing to me because then that's like 4 gods, not 3 gods. So it's not a trinity anymore if the logos is a person. But then, okay, so the logos is a word. The logos is a term I hear all the time in theological discussions on Orthodox or Catholic. But the way I thought, because I actually have to use context clues. So you've never heard the word logos before in terms of like... Yes, okay, so we're going to get lost in the definition of logos because I'm trying to get to the other thing. Basically, my understanding of logos is that it is the operating principles upon which God put into motion when he created the earth, okay? Or the universe. So, well, yeah, I mean, Justin interpreted it, and he may not have got what I was trying to ask either, because, like, again, this is kind of like a little more hard to wrap a little more out there to think about. So okay, I guess my question is this. The principles upon which we operate in the universe, which we rudimentarily explain through math and science, but that's not a great explanation, which is why pi has a glitch. I think pi is the glitch. Pi shows us there's a problem with our math. It's not perfect. But the point being, is God subject to those same operating principles? Well, no, I understand. So meaning like, okay, so you say, here's a great Christian book you could have called 10,000 Angels. That's a hymn we used to sing, right? So I guess my question is this. If I am a creator in the sense of like just on earth, and I've got an Etch-a-Sketch or a sketch pad, however you want to put it, and I'm trying to create a certain thing, and I mess up. I shake the Etch-a-Sketch or I throw the sketch pad away, right? No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he messed up. Well, one, even God said he regretted making man. So he did say that in Genesis. He said, okay. Let me use the one example that I'm getting to the question of, or 2 examples, really. You have Sodom and Gomorrah. First time God has to kill them all, right? Sodom and Gomorrah got to kill them all. Everybody's... Okay, so wait, so flood. Well, the flood's better than if that's after. So, okay, let's go to the flood then. So looking at the flood and the flood story, man is so wicked that he's going to destroy everything, but he sees no one, he saves it, right? So I guess what I'm asking is like, why, if God was dissatisfied with the creation, or if God had to send Jesus to send the new covenant because the old covenant wasn't working the right way or something, like if he had to like have a pure... That sounds very deterministic in a way, but I see what you're saying. I guess all I'm saying is this, like, So based on, again, just looking at the story where he says, I regret, but you're saying I'm interpreting that incorrectly, but to me it sounded pretty much like I regret. But he says I regret, then he's got to kill them all except for Lot, then he's got to kill them all except for Noah. What I'm saying is I understand what you're saying. The arc of time. I understand what you're saying from the all-knowing, omnipotent arc of time. I understand what you're saying. But what I'm saying is, like, why not if you mess up the drawing, you don't get it right the first time, why not start over? But it doesn't, okay, so I see what you're saying, but it never reads like that. Okay, so like it doesn't read, if I were to read the Bible literally, it doesn't literally read that way, is what I'm saying. It reads as if a person is kind of tinkering with their creation and trying to make it better. That's how it reads. And as someone tinkering with the universe, tinkering with their creation, tweaking their creation. So he gets angry. He creates the perfect place for Adam and Eve. Then he gets mad at them and kicks them out. Now, I believe it does say God was angry, right? I understand, but I believe it's something along the lines of the wrath of God. It does talk about the wrath. He was not happy. He was not happy about it. He was not happy about it. Now, I know, but just think about it like this. Think about it. I'm not, by the way, I'm not attacking your theology. I'm trying to get an answer to a question. So please don't read it as defensive. Yes. So what I'm saying is, to me, I'm explaining how it reads, to me, just to me, and you say read, I'm explaining how it reads. It reads as if, okay, so here's a great example. This is a great example. It seems more like reacting to the problem at hand than this grand overarching strategy, and here's why. If Adam and Eve, he predetermined, like God knew they were going to fail the first commandment, right? If he knew, how could he have emotionally reacted to it and been upset with them? He probably would have. What's that? But in the world of omnipotence, in the world of omnipotence, there can be nothing unrighteous. If it's his all his doing, there is no unrighteousness. If it's all his doing. Yes, but he created man, right? He created man, right? I know, but he created free will, right? But did he create free will? Okay, so no. I'm getting again. I'm trying to find a consistent, thorough line here, and so how? Why are you getting? By the way, where I'm going to, I'm merely seeing, to me, as I read the book and I interpret the book through my own divination, through my own research and study, that it appears to me as if he is bound by the same operating logos of which this universe is bound by. As if, well, he's somewhat bound by not being around unrighteousness, so he's somewhat bound by that. No, like again, I'm just. I understand what you're saying. Okay, so then why? I guess then that sounds nihilistic to me. What you're saying sounds very nihilistic. Because, well, okay, so like if there's never any way to understand, right, is what you're telling me. It's just a mystery. So you have some kind of divine knowledge. So that's what you're saying. You perfectly understand that you can't understand. You're saying you perfectly understand that you can't understand it. I'm trying to just ask I'm trying to find a definitive statement. In what, okay. So that's the answer to my question. In your theology, God is not bound by the Well, no, there's a lot of different, no, I know, but like, is your understanding of Scripture superior to all other human beings' understanding of Scripture? I assume not. I assume you're human. So like, no. I'm very much looking at the story and trying to, I do two things. I zoom out, I zoom in. I zoom out. I think this is a pretty high-minded question. This is not, so is God operating under the same logos that the universe is operating under is an immature question? I understand. It's very commonly used in, Orthodox and Catholic circles, very much. Well, Protestantism was kind of a new deviation anyway. I mean, honestly, to disregard the thousands of years of history and research they've done, it seems like they have some seat at the table, right? Don't they deserve a seat at the table of theology? I don't know why you get so frustrated. No, this is not an internecine. This is not I don't believe that. Okay, and within his operational order, you're saying but there is some, okay, but just, I know. But what I'm saying is just think, just for a second, think about it. But a nature would imply some kind of order. I know. I do understand that. I never said he wasn't. I literally didn't say he wasn't. I literally was curious about the operational mechanism from which he operates, which is not saying he's not supreme, but it is saying that clearly there's an order. There is order or there is chaos. Those are the only two things that operate, order and chaos. God seems to operate from order. Order has structure, form. Order has form and structure. Correct, but he did do it intentionally. Right? He did it intentionally, right? He did it intentionally? Okay, but my point is yes. 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 But he also said he made it. He also said he made it in his image, and he seemed to make it with purpose and intent, which would imply that he doesn't operate within chaos, but implies that he operates within order. That's all I'm saying. Which means there's a confining set of boundaries to that. Okay. I wanted your answer on the question. I was interested in your answer on the question. I got your answer on the question. Okay. That's your answer. Supreme. There's no... I'm surprised you've never, I'm just surprised you've never come across the word logos. Well, I could be. I'm telling you, I could be off on the. I could be literally off on the concept, but I'm saying that the concept got me to thinking about this idea of the operational order of the universe. Okay. Second question. Okay. I understand, but also I understand, but I also understand that human beings have painted a very wrong version of eternity and ascension for centuries now, and we've lost because we think eternity is on a timeline. We think of eternity as a timeline that never ends, but eternity is internal. Eternity is found within. Eternity. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, which brings me to our final question. I know time is a concept. I'm well aware of that. Yes, I understand, which is me arguing that God is an object of order, which is my argument. But however you want to refer to it, like you got it, we're using language. Language is rudimentary. You have to have words to use to convey ideas. I know that we're not speaking God's language, but I have to convey to you through. Yes. I understand. I'm not saying he's bound by our order. I was curious whether or not he's bound by our order. He seems to be bound by some kind of organizational structure. Okay. Maybe bound's the wrong word. Maybe bound's the wrong word. He seems to be operating within some kind of confines of structure, which is the opposite of lack of structure, which would literally imply that he does operate within some kind of source code. That's all I'm saying. There's some kind of source code to it. God is alive. God is not this ethereal. God is alive. He is within the world and he's outside of the world, but he is alive. He is a living thing. It is not some cardboard box from the sky. So I refuse to believe that he is this chaotic thing that is so supreme and amazing. No, but I'm saying you're describing him as an absence of being. You said he's so beyond our understanding that he's not even being. I understand. Yes, but then what I'm saying, that's where you would say like, okay, so then I don't have to become an expert in all this. I just have to get the main idea and follow that. That's really what it seems like to me. Well, here's what I found. Here's what I found. I learned Socratically, and people don't like questions. So yeah, there's no way for me to learn theologically. Well, you got to understand, this is what I was always told there's no such thing as a dumb question. So if you want me to learn, and you don't want me to ask questions, but I'm supposed to learn? Okay, so my second question, yes. It's still a theological question. All right. Why we got around to it a second ago, which was the finite nature of the universe. This idea that at some point the world is going to end in a ball of fire, metaphorically speaking, possibly literally, but metaphorically, possibly could be the sun exploding. And so Yeah, but like God can make the sun explode whenever he wants. So like he would use a mechanism to do it, right? He would use a mechanism. I don't think he'd create a new one. But yeah, but he'd just go, sun blow up earth. You know, that's... I mean, you're saying two different things, which is he spoke it, and then you're saying he doesn't have to speak it. But he does use things in the universe to keep creating and modifying and changing. Yeah. So I imagine if he was going to blow it up, he'd probably use the system he built. I'd imagine. Yes. Yes, but keep in mind, I had no problem. Keep in mind what I understand, but keep in mind we're arguing the contention of the sun blowing up the earth because I just said it as an aside. Okay, so then don't be mad at me for saying the sun because then it doesn't matter. So the sun, I'm saying the sun. Sun blows up the earth, no big deal. He can do it. That's fine. So why do we have to do that? Throw, again, using my mechanism, throw the sun into the earth. Why we got I like trees, they're pretty. I like oceans, I like fish. No. But it is, anytime you blow up a world, that's a mass casualty event to some degree. So, like, why do we got to do that? So then why couldn't we use the words why couldn't we use transformative words? Meaning it could just turn into mist and all of a sudden we're spiritual beings and there's no need for fireball. Why do we have to have this literal destruction when it could be, because again, omnipotent, literally it just disappears around us and all of a sudden we're in heaven, right? That could happen, right? Because it's interesting to me the way people choose to speak, but you just said, I know, but again, how are you going to know? Do you see the Bible as being both at times metaphorical and literal, and it goes between those two at different times? Okay. So then wouldn't it be... But why can't you accept it as possibly being metaphorical? Why couldn't you accept it as possibly being metaphorical? And then why do I need to? Right? Same, right? Works both ways. Street. Because it seems to me as if No, my question is why destroy the whole... Why do we have to... He made a really nice thing. This is a nice thing he made. Why get rid of it? So, okay. So again, these are questions people don't ask, but it would seem to me then, it seems to be an operational plan that is set in motion. And again, I'm a deterministic guy. It seems to be an operational plan set in motion. And it also seems to be that if you have an end, then you probably have a goal. If you're not a chaotic being, or however you want me to refer to God that doesn't upset you, like if you're a chaotic thing, you don't have goals. If you're an orderly thing, you have goals. You can look at that on a small scale, large scale, big scale. Goals, things to achieve, right? No, but wait, listen, hold on. But also, we're on a timeline. No, but in that regard, exactly. But to me, but it does lead to me, exactly, which means to me that there's a reason for the endpoint, right? Wouldn't there have to be? It's not this arbitrary whenever, kind of like we're going to step on a landmine situation. God could be here tomorrow. Exactly. Which would imply a goal to me. Correct. But I'm not trying to calculate. But then you said you got to get knowledge and grow. So, no, exactly. When is irrelevant. Why would seem to be a pretty good question. No. But like, again, orderly, there seems to be some kind of goal, some kind of destination we're headed towards, some kind of... I'm just saying, why is nobody asking a question about it? Why he wants to destroy this... Yes. I'm understanding that whole part of it. I find it to be a plot hole as to why. There's a plot hole there. Because humans are a narrative creature. Humans need narrative. Faith is a very simple thing. But no, that's not what you're told to do. You're told to learn and grow, which means don't just read and accept it for what it says. Evaluate it. To me, why God wants to blow up the world seems to be a pretty important question. But so again, let me try to, so are you telling me just don't ask why? Is that what you're telling me? Just don't ask why? So then that would seem to be saying don't ask why. That's literally telling me don't ask why. So if you're telling me don't ask why, yeah, but like, I'm very curious as to why. When somebody tells me as a child, but see, like, it's so, I understand. But literally, when you're told as a child that your creator is going to blow your... No, I'm explaining to you the why. You said, don't ask I'm explaining the why. When you're a child, you like trees, you like cows, you like people, you like oceans, you like rocks. I understand. But we do know it means, we do know this. Okay, you're saying, not me, because I was going to go metaphorical, but you said literal fire. So let's go literal fire. Literal fire burn everything down. So let's go with that. That's fine. That was a story I was told when I was a child. So okay. But that's still a mass casualty event. That's a mass casualty event. What's happening with the whales? What's happening with the monkeys? What's happening with the dogs? What's happening with are they going to all burn? So they're nothing? They're just toys? They're just meaningless toys? We shouldn't care about them? Well, but also, like, I just don't like the idea of, like, us burning 6 million dogs at one time. I'm just asking. I'm asking. Because it's a mass casualty event. It's literally a mass casualty event. There's going to be all the animals dead. Why is that silly? People love animals. I don't love animals, but I know people love animals. I just wish you had answers that, this is all I'm saying. I wish your answers weren't, you're being silly, don't ask questions. I wish they were more, That's what, my whole life, that's what sucks. I never said animals go to heaven. We treat animals better than people here. When your dog is about to die, you'll take it to the vet and put it up. It just seems purposeless for the... well... yeah, but like burn them all down seems like a really bad way to transition. See, that's what I'm saying. That sounds reasonable. That sounds reasonable. I don't know. It seems like because I think that the reason humans use the word fire so much in their metaphors was fire's scary. Because fire's scary. Use fire scary. It's fire scary, scary, bad, fire. Fire scary. No, I'm saying, I will tell you what's wrong. I do think it is wrong to set 6 million dogs on fire. Yeah, I do think that's wrong. Yes, I think that's wrong. Okay. All right, I love you. Bye. Fuck, man. What the fucking fuck? Just fucking burn all the goddamn fucking dogs. What the fuck are you talking? You fucking psycho. Ah!
Peter Pumpkinhead came to town, spreading wisdom and cash around, fed the starving and housed the poor, showed the Vatican what gold's for. But he made too many enemies of the people who would keep us on our knees. Hooray for Peter Pumpkin, who'll pray for Peter Pumpkinhead. Peter Pumpkinhead fooled them all. Empty churches and shopping malls. When he spoke, it would raise the roof. Peter Pumpkinhead told the truth, but he made too many enemies of the people who would keep us on our knees. Hooray for Peter Pumpkin, who'll pray for Peter Pumpkinhead. Peter Pumpkinhead was too good, had him nailed to a chunk of wood. He died grinning on live TV. Hanging there, he looked a lot like you, an awful lot like me. But he made too many enemies of the people who would keep us on our knees. Hooray for Peter Pumpkin, who'll pray for Peter Pumpkinhead. Miss you, Obama. Miss you.